Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Eek Acres. Just does not stop snowing here, you guys. I wanted to talk a little more about what's going on out in California. I'm going to show you guys a map that was just released January of this year, 2025, for the National Drought Map. And if you look at this map, there are neighboring states to California that are in a worse drought than California is. Yet, ironically, California is the only state that seems to have yearly problems with fires. Isn't that very suspicious? I don't care what people think of that. I find that very suspicious. Because Arizona is in a worse drought, Nevada's in a worse drought, small part of Texas is in a worse drought, yet none of them are reporting any out of control fires. And there's burnable materials there as well. Same thing for Iowa. Iowa this year, or last year going into this year, has been in a very bad drought. And I know this because just this past fall, I was out there with Bridget in her state of Iowa. And I got a video here I can show you of where I was out there. And I was walking through grass that was waist deep. Very, very flammable grass. To where thousands of acres of farmland and fields could burn if any of that were to ignite. Yet there's no problem with any fires in Iowa. And the reason being is because, well, Iowa is a Republican state and they're not trying to do a land grab. That's why there's no fires in Iowa. I really wish Californians would wake up to what's going on in California. All that tax money that they pay, what is it going for? I'd really like to know what they think their tax money is going for. Because the revenue that California has been raking in, they're giving a majority of it to the illegal immigrants, because California is a sanctuary city, sanctuary place to go, and they're giving the money to the immigrants who I believe are the very ones that are setting these spontaneous fires that just happen to pop up all at the same time that are miles and miles apart. So technically, when you think about it, California residents are paying tax money that's being given to illegals to burn their homes to the ground. You're funding the destruction of your own house. Isn't that something? A lot of these people don't even have insurance because the insurance companies are pulling out. I can't say I blame the insurance. A lot of people are blaming the insurance companies. I don't blame them at all. I mean, I wouldn't want to insure a state that has disaster after disaster after disaster constantly all the time, because like any business, it's about making money, not spending more than you're taking in. And people act like they don't know why this is going on. You guys, there's been fires out in California for decades. California is a state that is known to burn. Why? Because it is a desert state. And this is why they're not getting rains. But nobody wants to talk about the fact that California is a desert state. And then you wonder why you're not getting any rain? I'm not trying to be a prick. I'm just stating facts. Absolute facts. Now, if I wanted to live in a dry, arid place where it barely ever rains, and if it does, it's rarely ever enough, and I wanted to live where I had to worry about my house burning to the ground, I would choose California. That's where I would choose to live if I wanted to lose my house to fires, earthquakes, or criminals destroying it. Yeah, then I'd pick California. That'd be the perfect place to live for that. You know, the funny thing is, you guys, you hear about all this looting going on and these people that are breaking in and taking advantage of these towns and cities that have been evacuated because of the fires. But yet, when you look at the disasters that have happened in the Carolinas and Virginia and the surrounding areas from that one hurricane that went through that destroyed whole neighborhoods, and those people lost their homes, I did not, as I followed that, I did not hear one story not one story of anybody breaking into those homes, the existing homes that were still standing, and stealing all their shit, like what's going on out in California. I did not hear one story of that happening in Virginia, the Carolinas, Tennessee, or anywhere else that was affected by those ravaging floods. Isn't that ironic? It's because California, whether people want to admit it or not, is number one for the most crime in the country. It's number one for the number one disaster state in the country. It is number one for the highest taxes in the country. And people choose to live there. Something else. These people think they're going to be able to rebuild because a lot of them have been talking about it. I disagree with that. I don't think they're going to be allowed to rebuild because they're burning everybody out for a reason. And so developers can build these 15-minute cities. That's the future. It's a one-party system, even though a lot of people disagree with that. It is a one-party system state. They want to build these futuristic cities that make sense economically, these 15-minute cities, because it's a green state. So these people that think they're going to be able to rebuild, I don't believe they will. For one thing, it's going to take years to clean up all that garbage, all that debris, all that toxic ash, rubble from the homes, burned out expensive automobiles. Where are they going to go with all that crap? They got to clean that up first before any type of building gets done. And then after it takes years to clean up that mess and rejuvenate the landscape, then you've got building permits. And with the crazy regulations that California is known for, good luck getting those building permits where they're going to allow you to put up the same thing that was already there. I don't think that's going to happen. And if you don't believe me, just wait long enough and you'll see that that's not going to happen. You will see that they're going to put up these high-density housing buildings to house the immigrants, because that's who they cater to. They think more of the immigrants than they do the American citizen that has been born and raised in this country. You watch. You just watch if you don't believe me. Absolutely crazy what's going on there. I am so glad I don't live in the state of California. You know, people talk a lot of shit about New York, and a lot of it I agree with. We also have a rogue governor, dipshit Kathy Hochul. Can't stand that woman. Can't stand her at all. Didn't like the governor she replaced. He was a criminal as well, the Cuomos. Criminal Cuomo. But one thing I can say about this state, it's not a disaster state. And we got enough water right here neighboring the Great Lakes to supply the entire United States of America with fresh drinking water. You guys even realize that? We will never run out of water here. We got more water and more snow, and we know what to do with. And another thing people don't talk about is disaster zones. When you look at different regions in the country, as far as where disasters happen on a frequent basis, you got Texas, it's got huge tornadoes, just like Tornado Alley, where it's a disaster. You get an F5 tornado, it comes through an entire city, it wipes out everything, just like the one in Joplin, Missouri did. It destroyed everything. Nothing was left standing. Tossed vehicles like they were children's toys. So you got Tornado Alley, which, by the way, is worsening. Every single year, it's worsening. You look at the tornadoes of 2024 compared to 23, 2022, 2021, and every year the number is going up and up. And then you got the Gulf states and Florida that have to deal with hurricanes, where that too can flatten and level an entire area. And insurance companies are pulling out of places like that as well. They're pulling out of Texas because of tornadoes and hurricanes. They're pulling out of Florida because of hurricanes. They're pulling out of California because of earthquakes and wildfires, mainly the wildfires. So what's left? I'll tell you what's left and what's next. It's going to be Tornado Alley, because as these tornadoes ramp up and get worse every year, Tornado Alley in central United States is going to be the next area that the insurance companies are going to pull out. So what does that leave? It leaves the very thing that no one's talking about. The only part of the United States that does not have any disasters of any kind. And that's Pennsylvania, New York, Rhode Island, New Jersey, Connecticut, Delaware, the state of Maine, The entire Northeast region is the only small portion of the United States that does not have any natural disasters. We do not have earthquakes here. We do not get hurricanes. We do not have gigantic mile-wide stovepipe tornadoes. We don't have wildfires, forest fires, none of that shit. And no one talks about it. So in my opinion, even though people don't like New York, and it does not have the highest taxes in the nation, the taxes on the house where Bridget and I live right now is $2,200 a year. $2,200 a year. If anybody thinks that's expensive, you're a damn fool. Because it has 6 acres of land, it has a building, a pole barn that is 5,700 square feet, and it's got 2 streams and 3 driveways and 2 separate addresses. $2,200 a year to have all that. You know how much I was paying per year to rent? Guess. Per year, $6,500 to rent an apartment. So if somebody says, well, taxes are too high in New York, bullshit. It's cheaper to own than it is to rent. You go to California and show me anywhere where you can have 6 acres of land and a house all to yourself and only pay $2,200 a year. Show me one. So New York isn't as bad as people are saying. Yeah, it's a Democrat state. We got an asshole governor, but it's a safe place to live. Been here 54 years. Never in my lifetime have we ever had a disaster here. I had talked with my dad, who died at the age of 76 back in 2001, 24 years ago. He said in his lifetime, living here all his life, there's never been a disaster. And the same thing goes for my grandparents. No disasters. No disasters in the Northeast. It's only all down the South, the Midwest, the Gulf states, and the West Coast. That's where all your disasters are. That's exactly where they are. And that's probably one of the big things that's kept me living here in New York, is because outside of the stupid politics, I don't really have to put up with shit living here. It's a very comfortable place to live. It's a safe place to live. And you can have your house stand for more than 100 years without having to worry about anything happening to it. Try doing that in these other states that have all these disasters. Good luck. So I feel bad for these people that lost everything, but they need to get the hell out of California. And I hope that this is going to be the straw that broke the camel's back to make people realize that they do need to get out of California. Because it's not going to get any better. It's only going to get worse. Just like the tornado season, every year it gets worse. The hurricane season gets worse. It's all getting worse. You got to live in a safe region of the United States if you want to avoid this crap. The only thing I have to put up with living here is plowing a shitload of snow. But come April, it's all gone. But the thing that I feel bad about with the Californians is they still got to pay taxes on those postage stamp properties where those homes burn to the ground. They still got to pay taxes on that. And their taxes are going to be just as much as when the house was standing on it. You know why? Because the land those homes were on are worth more than what the homes were worth. So the tax price is going to be the same. They don't get a discount because the house is gone. They got to pay the same amount. That's prime real estate. You pay for prime real estate. They don't give a shit if you got a house on it or not. So those people got to pay the taxes. And if you had a mortgage and for whatever reason you didn't have the house insured and the bank didn't know about it, now you got to still pay that mortgage whether that house is there or not. You're screwed. Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy what's going on there. And those people think they're going to be able to rebuild. No, you'll see. You won't be able to. You watch what they do in place of where those homes were in those neighborhoods. It's a tragedy that the Californians are allowing, and I say allow because no one's doing anything about it. They allow these politicians and elected officials to get away with this shit. They let them get away with it. They don't do anything about it. You know, evil prospers when good people do nothing. When you just bitch and moan and you do nothing about it, that's what makes these people get away with doing what they're doing. And as long as they get away with it, there's no incentive for them to stop. Any more than there's any incentive for the looters to stop doing what they're doing, because they know that if they get arrested, the state of California is going to put them right back out on the street so they can go right back and do it again. They're allowed to steal in the state of California as long as they don't take more shit worth than $1,000. They're put right back out on the street. But I think that Californians now are starting to put 2 and 2 together and starting to realize after going through this, I don't know how many freaking times, I think now they're starting to finally see that what's going on in their state is exactly what they were accusing other people of conspiracies. Oh, it's a conspiracy that the state is doing this, and it's a conspiracy that our governor is doing that. No, it's not. No, it's not. Because like I said, as dry as the majority of the western part of the country is, you'd be seeing fire problems in other regions because they're not getting any rain either. And the reason why they're not burning is because their governors aren't doing it. Governor Newsom was in talks with the governor from Hawaii. Isn't that awful funny that he's been in talks with the governor from Hawaii? And I bet that the governor of Hawaii told Governor Newsom exactly how to do it and how to get away with it, because they pulled the same shit in Hawaii. The same thing, because they want that prime real estate for development. That's what's going on. I'm telling you, man, if you're watching this video and you live in California, you need to get the hell out of that state, because your taxes are going for nothing. You might as well flush that money right down the toilet. You're absolutely funding a criminal institution in California by paying taxes there. That's what you're doing. You're funding the criminals. Did you know that if the majority of your elites, your rich people and actors and famous people like Dennis Quaid and Arnold Schwarzenegger and all your rich Hollywood people that are retired now and washed up that live in California, if they all got together and decided to leave California at the same time, like mass exodus, the state of California would immediately lose 1/2 of its tax revenue base. Did you know that? They'd automatically lose half of their tax base. And the federal government knows this. And the federal government knows that if that were to happen, the state of California would be no more. So now it's a matter of seeing what is the government going to do about that rogue, criminal, evil governor that you have out there, that scumbag. What are they going to do about him? They need to get him removed as soon as possible, because he's not doing his job and he's getting away with all the things that he shouldn't get away with. And no one's doing a damn thing about it. It's absolutely insane. I feel bad for the people in California, but it's no secret that California is a desert state. It's known to be dry. It goes through droughts. It goes through wildfires. That's why the insurance companies are pulling out. They don't want to deal with it anymore. They probably know what the state is doing. That's all being done on purpose. And they know they'll go bankrupt if they stay there, because no one's doing anything about it. So I don't blame them any more than I blame them for pulling out of Florida. I don't blame them one bit. When people choose to live in a disaster zone, I think you should be on your own. That's my opinion. I know that's an unpopular opinion, but I'm sorry, that's the way I feel about it. You choose to live somewhere where shit burns every year. Don't bitch when your house burns down. If you want to live where hurricanes hit all the time, don't complain when your house gets blown off its foundation. There's plenty of places in the United States to live where it's safe. Safe to live. I wouldn't wish it on anybody, but at the same time, people have to take personal responsibility. Personal responsibility for what happens and where they choose to live. I mean, my God, I don't even know what the draw is out there in California, because the last report that I watched out there in California, they did an interrupting weather report to talk about the winds for the fires out there, and they gave the current temperatures. The current temperature was 46 degrees, and the day before they had frost. You know what I would be wearing if I was in that kind of weather? The same thing I'm wearing right now, a winter jacket. A winter jacket. That's what I'd be wearing. So what's the point in living in California if you still got to be dressed like I have to dress right here in New York? You tell me that one, because I'd sure like to know. Anyway, you guys, I'm going to head back home. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you all again in the next one. Bye-bye.